Okay, we're continuing our very January run of movies here.
Say that again.
Yeah, sometimes we have good luck with January and some little gems get thrown in there, but
Most of the time it's not.
yeah. So I can't explain Paddington's placement, but you know.
I wish this year ended right now so I could say Paddington's the best movie of the year. For all the people that say I don't like animated or family movies anymore.
Mixed media.
Yes.
Okay. So, in one of the most January movies in quite some time,
Yes. That's a great way to put it, too.
we're gonna start with The Boy Next Door, which has been kind of gaining this reputation of being one of those, it's gonna be one of those campy classics that people, you know, watch to simply laugh at together in groups, and it's just fun because of how absolutely obliviously terrible it is.
Unless most people aren't in on the joke, like apparently our theater wasn't.
Yeah, so, I was reading, like, a small review yesterday where somebody said they saw it with a full theater and everybody was just laughing hysterically.
I wish that would have happened. I wouldn't have felt so out of place.
Yeah, that would have been fun, but, instead we went on a Saturday afternoon, the first showing today. So, this is what, okay. So, it's that age-old story where, kind of like, you know, if you saw The Crush with Carrie Ellis, I hope you didn't, but if you did, and stuff like that, and we throw fear into it, where you go into, you have the woman, and then, you know, for her age, she's still extremely hot, and she has the estranged husband, who is John Corbett, and you have the kid, and their marriage is on the rocks because he had an affair in San Francisco, and...
That old chestnut.
Shit, I can't even get through the fucking synopsis.
I know. It gets better.
So, she and her friend, Kristen Chenoweth, who is the assistant principal at the school that she is a teacher at, they decide they're gonna go on some bad dates, because it's really hot in here already. So, naturally, the dates go wrong, and she comes home, and wouldn't you know it, she comes to know the title character. And he is a 19-year-old with, you know, the muscles of, like, a fucking, you know...
A Greek god. I believe is the terminology to be used by people in this movie.
You could, yeah. He's that kind of character.
I was waiting for that line, too, and it never came.
And of course they bond because, wouldn't you know it, she needs something fixed. The garage door is all fucked up, so he comes over with his big, you know, muscly arms, and he, you know, does the manly thing. I never once bought that this fucking guy was 19, by the way.
No lie.
But anyway, oh no, he didn't say he was 19, he said he was almost 20. So, that's what we have to go on. And he goes to school for some reason.
He's a senior, apparently. He's a transfer student.
Okay.
That's what they say.
I know a lot of seniors that are almost fucking 20.
That means he's dumb as a box of rocks, basically, is what it is.
Yeah, well, he certainly looks it, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
He's got, like, that, you know, rock statue come to life way of acting. You know, I compared him to Kellen Lutz.
He has the personality of a door.
Oh, my God. I don't think we're ever going to see this guy again, thankfully. So, what was his name?
Guzman.
Ryan
Guzman.
Yes. Okay.
He's the guy from Step Up.
That
The really
explains a
annoying
lot.
toolbox in Step Up.
Okay, that's great.
So he'll be in those movies, and that'll be it.
So, the movie opens, and it's really, really funny that it got some fear comparisons, because the opening scene of the movie is, first off, let me tell you, I don't know if you remember this or not, I haven't seen Fear for a long time, but every frame of it's engraved in my memory.
Oh, yes.
The opening scene of Fear is the opening credits, and during the opening credits, we have William Peterson exercising. He's going for a run through the woods.
Yep.
And this is the exact opening. And I just said that it starts with William Peterson running through the woods, but this time it's Jennifer Lopez. And Jennifer Lopez's last name in this movie
is Peterson.
Is Peterson.
Yes.
So this movie's not even hiding it.
Most people that are the target audience are probably not going to get that.
I'm pretty sure it was unintentional on the movie's part, but you know, it's all there.
Yeah, it is.
So, and some, you know, a little backstory. We have the kid has asthma, because that never comes into play in movies like this ever. And then we meet, you know, we have the kid is bullied. But that's the thing here, is this is one of those movies where naturally you kind of gradually build to it. Like, you know, clearly there's going to be something off with the character, and then as the movie progresses, he gets more and more unhinged, and then finally by the end, he's a horror movie monster.
Yep.
Well, this movie does not want to build him up at all.
No.
This movie wants to get right to the point. And maybe in another movie that'd be a good thing, but here it was just, you know, like, oh my god, movie, stop. Why already? Because we see, you know, he has his introduction, and he's really happy. You know, he's taking care of his uncle next door, that's why he's here. And his uncle's, you know, this fragile, you know, I'm practically falling apart in my sleep kind of old guy. And so he goes with the kid, Kevin is his name, because we're going to have to say it a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And Noah is the, you know, the title character. So Noah and Kevin go, and they're becoming best buddies, you know, because they're kind of the same age group, and, you know... So they go to the store, and there's the girl there, and Kevin really wants the girl, but Noah's going to give him confidence because everybody loves Noah. He's really trustworthy right now. He's really great. He's the character everybody's going to fall in love with, and nothing wrong will happen here whatsoever. But then we immediately are introduced to the bullies, who just come in and I guess bully him in public with, you know, no regard to anything around them, because that's just how they work. We needed to introduce them right now. We could not wait any further. We had to introduce all of this at the same time. The girl, the bullies, the relationship between Kevin and Noah building very quickly. They met. They're in this store. They met like 2 minutes ago.
We've got to get to the point of the story, so we have to like fast forward through everything right away.
So as you know, I tackled this in The Guest too, relatively recently. Obviously, when we meet the bullies, you have to have that moment where the bullies leave, and Noah's just kind of standing there giving the look with the dooming music. And you're like, oh, well, something clearly bad is going to happen to them. Hey, we've already established that he's going to go crazy, and the movie's been on for 5 minutes. That's great.
Slow down, movie.
Yes. So, this is one, and, another cliche from this, genre is Kristen Chenoweth's character. Now, naturally, they're all here together. They're having lunch, and, you know, everybody's getting to know each other. Everything's great. Everything's wonderful. So, Lopez and Kristen Chenoweth just come into the kitchen, and she's the one that says, she's the best friend of our protagonist, and she says, what a strange kid. And she's like, what's so strange about him? She's like, I don't know. There's just something off about him. I totally expect her to survive the movie, don't I?
Yeah, no lie. You never put the guy under, even outside of mixed company.
But it's okay, because he loves Homer. He can recite the Iliad, you know, off the top of his head. And, you know, he sees writers as poets the way she does. Even if they're, you know, from people like Homer to musicians, like Zeppelin. You know, they're all poets, and this is great. This is something to fuck over. So... naturally, after they have a very passionate one-night stand that she is against from the get-go, she's like, no, stop, and he's like, yes, you want this to happen, because, you know, he was, you know, in the nude across the street, and she was looking out her window at him, so he's like, you know, oh, I have control of you now. So it's, if you want to talk, you know, The Girl Next Door.
Yes.
The movie that it seems like, you know, the horrible, you know, thriller cousin of. He has the moment that Alicia Cuthbert had, where she says, well, you know, if you were looking at me through the window, now it's my turn, and this leads to that one-night stand, and of course, this is going to lead to him stalking her, and then getting more and more dangerous, and, oh no, he's stalking her so much now that he has enrolled himself into her class. So now there's the whole, oh no, I fucked a student, and if everybody knows that, then I'm going to be done for. And, you know, he has all the threats, he has all the blackmail, etc., Now, here's the thing. This is one of those movies, as I'm sure you can imagine, where you know where every, like, at the start of every scene, you know frame by frame how the scene is going to play out. You just have to wait for it to end that way.
Yep.
And I tried to, point out all the obvious stuff. Obviously, when we first meet Noah and we're getting his backstory, it's, well, he's alone now because his parents died. I wonder what happened to them. Yeah. Then there are those moments where this kind of got, this scene kind of plays into something else that I'll go into real quick before we go back to the list of, you know, predictable scenes. There is a moment where after they have had their night together, John Corbett comes over for a nice family dinner, and then while everything's great and everything's wonderful, she's acting all nervous and shit. And, you know, she's looking across the street, and she realizes she's in a thriller now, so she's acting really freaked out and stuff. And she has a pie here for dessert, and it's like, well, that pie's going on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
So, and, you know, yeah. As soon as Noah walks in the door, oh my god! I am so frightened right now! So, this is what I don't understand, before we go back to this. There is a moment here that I can just imagine in the right theater getting a big laugh. It actually reminded me of a particular laugh we got in Blue Velvet. But that movie did it on purpose. This one is a little different because, okay, so she realizes that she's on the verge of being stalked. He's getting a little, you know, too close for comfort right now. This is still in the early stages. Mm. So she goes to the school to confront him and say, you must stop this now, and, you know, this will not happen anymore, this is wrong, you know, all that. This is like the 4th time she's gone through this, but in this, she really makes it a point now. And here's what happens, okay? I was telling you about the pie scene. She realizes she's in a thriller now, because she's acting scared about everything.
Mm-hmm. Very paranoid.
So, this confrontation at the school, I swear to God, ends with him saying, okay, that's it. You can trust me, it'll be okay. And her response is to say, okay, and she gives him a fist bump and leaves.
Yeah. I had to hold back laughter on this one. Because everyone around me was taking it seriously.
Oh my god.
No one wanted to have fun with this. They were taking everything seriously.
So, disregarding that, there is a scene where, this is the Down in the Valley scene. If you saw that great movie with Edward Norton, there is a scene where he's kind of befriending Rory Culkin to kind of, you know, go against his father.
Yeah.
Well, this scene, he has a gun, and Kevin thinks nothing of this, and they go out, and there are 5 pumpkins lined up, and he gives the gun to Kevin, and I was thinking there, Kevin is still just standing here monologuing, holding the gun, and talking to Noah, and in my head, you know, I'm saying, okay, Kevin, just miss the pumpkin so that he can take the gun from you and shoot all 5 of this, like, simultaneously. Just hurry up and let this scene play out.
Of course. And of course that's exactly what happens.
Then there's the scene where she gets the flowers. The unsigned flowers. All it says is, please give me another chance. No signature. And so they're like, oh, it's John Corbett, it's John Corbett, it's John Corbett. I'm going to call up John Corbett. Hey, John Corbett, the flowers. What flowers?
Bye!
Dooming score. And by the way, it is never, John Corbett never comes home and says, hey, you called me about flowers? That scene never happened. So yes, there's that. Now, obviously, there's this running thing where, since John Corbett's the husband who's kind of slowly working his way back into the family, Noah's watching him like a hawk.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of focus on John Corbett's car. There is a lot of focus. Let me say this again. There is a lot of focus on John Corbett's car. I will totally be surprised later when the brakes on it don't work. That was shocking, man. Oh my god. And, let's see, there was one more I was going to go into, and what was it? Oh yes. The moment where, she has to go into his house because of the blackmail. Let me get into the blackmail in a second. But, she has to go into his house, look for it, and find it, and then come back home. And then, you know, she's on the phone with Kristen Chenoweth, and she's like, oh my god, he's on his way, he's on his way. You better get out of there quick. You know, because that scene's always in, or is always in these movies.
Yeah, of course.
So she finally gets home, and then there's a shadow at the door, and they're trying to break through the door. We don't see who's on the other side of the door, but there is a shadow on the other side of the door, and it's trying to break in. And she's going, oh my god, it's Noah. Oh my god, this is so definitely Noah. This is not going to be a cheap payoff at all. I'm going to get a knife and be ready. It's not going to be anybody that's not here to harm me. When Kevin walked through that door, I was so fucking shocked my heart could have fallen out of my chest. I swear to God.
If that was done...
This movie had me so on the edge of my seat I could not see what was coming one bit, man.
If that was a Freeburg and Seltzer movie, she would have put the knife right in his chest.
Yeah. give that credit, at least the Wayans brothers.
Oh yeah, totally.
The moment in Scary Movie when Carmen Electra picks up the banana when the knife and the gun are sitting there.
Yeah.
Okay, oh, real quick, going back to the boys, there is one scene here, real quick, that got me, like, really, really good. I just loved this so much. So the kid, this is hilarious. What the kids do, I was talking already about how unrealistic the boys are. Or not, well, fine, it's a movie, unrealistic, whatever. But just how blown out of proportion the bullies are.
Yeah.
There's... What they do is because he has asthma, they call him the Whiz. Yeah. I don't know what, maybe the Wheeze, maybe that's what they were looking for.
No, you didn't get that backstory? They actually did go into it.
Oh, yes. Oh my god, yes, that.
His bladder.
Yeah, I know. Yes, okay. But
I don't know if you remember it or not, but yeah, that's definitely it.
Yes, I got it.
The Wheeze makes more sense though, but
I remember now.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's what I'm laughing at. I swear to God. And these boys are like, you know, like the 16-year-old boys with like, you know, the moppy hair and
skater
stuff like
punks
that.
Is what they are. They have skateboards and everything.
Yeah, they go in, they go see the skateboards, all that.
Yeah.
This kid is gonna, you know, taunt Kevin. So what he says is, hey, well, he's talking about the fact that The Wiz, you know, Sidney Lumet's movie, was on TV last night.
Yep.
And, you know, he's taunting him because The Wiz was on. So, he walks up to him, and I swear to God, this is the bully with the skateboard and the moppy hairs line. Hey, your movie was on Turner Classics last night.
What years does this movie take place?
And it's like, in case the, you know, the demographic for this movie doesn't know that movie actually exists and that's its actual title, he actually spells out, you know, that movie is The Black Wizard of Oz. And this is his bullying tactic.
I really wanted a Seinfeld reference. Hey,
oh
Kevin,
my God.
nobody beats you.
If I had been bullied in school and they walked up to me to antagonize me and they started it with, hey, did you see what was on Turner Classics last night? They would suddenly be my best friend. I was like, oh man, if you watch Turner Classics, you should check this on next week. Jesus fucking Christ, what was that?
Definitely going over the heads of most people in the audience, for sure.
My God. Okay, this is one of those, I should throw this out there real quick. This is one of those movies that has the cat jump scare in it. And I'm not saying like that as like, you know, a vague example of like, you know, a big cutout of a cliche. No, it's an actual cat that jumps out and scares her. With the score being loud.
Of course.
That scene really does happen here. Let's talk about the innuendos now.
Okay.
Now, the interesting thing about this is generally, let's go psycho for a minute and try to put ourselves in the position of Noah.
Alright. I don't know how, but okay.
So, naturally what you want to do here is, okay, maybe you're trying to toy with her a little bit and you want, you know, to get under her skin. So what he does is he makes these little remarks around the family. You know, the line that was in the trailer about the cookies.
But both of them were in the trailers.
Now, here's the thing, is he's trying to make her nervous. So when John Corbett's here and Kevin's here and the whole family's here, he just comes waltzing in and says, hey, did you tell them what happened last night? You know, because that's when we fought. And of course, you know, she has to cover up for it and she says, yeah, there was a big storm. And he says, yeah, it got pretty wet around here. But when he says that, he, like, glares at her when he says it. As if to say, everybody, did you catch that? I'm making innuendos right directly at her. If you don't notice this at all...
Yeah.
And then there's, what do we talk about now? The blackmail?
Cookies first.
Fuck the cookies line. Everybody knows the cookies line.
And it's actually a core part of the story, because apparently that's how the dad was cheating.
And then he actually does that look more than once. Because it's the moment when he joins the class. Because, you know, she's teaching, she's being, you know, like, okay, my life's back to normal now. Everything is wonderful. And then suddenly, you know, person comes in and says, oh, by the way, you have a new student. It is Noah. And then Noah comes in and does the fucking look again.
Wearing his tie, too. That's even funnier.
Oh, my God. Okay. Let's talk about the blackmail real quick.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you know it, Noah just happened to secretly be taking video when their night happened. This is not talked about until it's important, by the way.
Yep.
Like, I don't know when he started running it. I don't know, like, how long it took him to set all that up.
Well, there was a camera on the clock.
I don't know when he... That's what I'm saying. He had to set that shit up.
Yeah.
And then, you know, maybe tell his uncle, it's like, oh, by the way, don't worry about all these wires that lead to my secret cellar. Pay that no mind, uncle.
Okay.
Yeah. So, what he does here is... Should I talk about this, or should I go... Okay, let's talk about the scene right before this. Where there's a dance, and, you know, everything's wonderful, you know. The son's going with the kid.
This made me laugh out loud.
And then, you know, she goes into the bathroom. She says, like, there's a lot of water running in the bathroom. It's weird nobody's been in there to see what's in there. You better go look yourself. I mean, you're a woman, and there have been plenty of other people here I could have told about this. But since you're here now, and you're probably the person this is meant for, I'm going to tell you that there is water running in the boys' bathroom. So he's like... She's like, okay, I'll go look. I'll go check it out. And she goes and she sees, and the sinks have been clogged. And once she stops that, she turns around, and in giant black letters of spray paint on the bathroom wall are the words, I fucked Claire Peterson.
I laughed out loud when I saw that.
And then we get another fear scene, where he comes into the bathroom and tells her, you know, what's going to go down. You know, did you catch that scene's right out of Fear too?
Yes, absolutely.
And he says, you know, everybody's going to know now. Yeah, by the way, it's never brought up if that was cleaned up or not. That would have taken, like, a whole thing, but it was never acknowledged again, so let's just forget it.
It's high school graffiti. It's probably a lie.
Okay. Yeah, when I was in 6th grade, somebody wrote, I love AJ in the girls' bathroom, apparently. I was told that. I don't know, I still to this day don't know who did it, but... I don't know.
Strange things happen in junior high and high school bathrooms.
So, she says, she defends herself and defends this by saying, it's going to be my word against yours. Who do you think they're going to believe? And, you know, it's led to believe they're going to believe the teacher.
Give the crazy guy an ultimatum. That's a great idea.
So, but no, what I'm getting at is, she is very, very confident right now. It's going to be my word against yours and they'll take mine.
Yeah.
She's very confident in that. Next scene. She comes to school... Everybody's waiting outside, and she's like, okay, kids, you wait right here. I'm going to unlock the door, and she opens it, and then she closes it real fast and says, you people stay the fuck out of here, and then she goes in and locks the door. I'm paraphrasing the lines here, by the way.
I like that delivery better than the actual line itself.
And what has happened here is he has taken, they're like little captures from his little sex tape that he made of them in a compromising position. They're strung out all over, you know, they're hanging from the ceiling, they're all over the floor, they're still being printed out by the printer, like a whole bunch at a time, and they're just the whole room is covered in them. And so she locks the door, you know, she has to clean them all up, she has to pull them down, she has to, you know, gather them all up, and then she has to throw them all away. I don't know where she was finding trash cans everywhere, because...
She hid everything under her desk.
The room was full.
Yeah.
And then, you know, there's the one that she has to hide at the last minute, and then finally, you know, like the dude I assume was the principal.
The guy that's not Phil Lamar.
Yeah. And, you know, he comes up and he says, what is going on here? And it's like, she locked us out. He's like, well, I'm coming in. And they do the slow motion of him unlocking the door. And she has to hide the pictures at the last minute. And then finally it opens and he's like, what the fuck are you doing in here? And she's like, oh, I had to take a call. And everything's great. And then she just goes on with her day. Now, I need to stop here for a second and talk about this.
Yep.
Obviously she's worried because it is pictures of her being fucked by a student.
Yeah.
And that could get her fired.
Easily.
Naturally. However, there is to me, given the setup, I thought there was a very easy solution to this.
Okay.
When she hears, like, the principal dude knock and says, you know, Claire, what the fuck? And she's saying, you know, oh, hold on, I'm keep cleaning up. If she had heard his voice, that actually panicked her even more, because it's like, that's the dude that can fire me if he sees this.
Yeah.
So, my thought process was, what if she were to go over, open the door a little bit and say, hey dude, come in here.
Yeah.
And then he comes in, and she's like, look, these are pictures of me fucking a student. But let me explain. This happened before he was a student here. So, now he is stalking me, being all psychotic and shit, and trying to get me fired through all of this. since I was so confident in the scene right before this, but you would take my word over his, can we talk about this?
This movie does not have time for rational thought. That was probably never a thought in the writer's mind to try to solve things like that, because that doesn't sell movies. Crazy insanity sells movies.
I don't know. I thought that was a pretty easy way out of this.
It really was. Like I said, you're thinking way too much.
But okay, so... And then they would have looked in on it. Kristen Chenoweth found his files that say, you know, he's fucked up.
Yeah.
But, you know, whatever. And let me talk about a scene with Kristen Chenoweth here. This is a movie where Rob Cohen was the director. And, you know, he's handled action movies like, you know, I think he did the first Fast and the Furious, and he did Triple X and stuff like that. His last movie was Alex Cross, but we'll forget about that.
Yeah.
But he has a handling of action movies. He's been in the business for a little while.
Okay.
Now, the way this is handled, I mean, I know you can't, you know, it's basically a Lifetime Movie Network movie on a theatrical screen.
It really is. I feel like it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon when I'm watching it.
Now, the thing is, with a few fucks thrown in there and some nudity, but still...
Meredith Baxter Birney is.
But there was a shot in this movie where I was like, whoa, I think we've got something here. At least for this one scene. As long as it's just for one scene, I think you had something here.
Okay.
But this scene ended up being totally pointless. What it is, he has gone to Kristen Chenoweth's house, you know, totally unpredictably, by the way.
Yeah.
And he hits her over the head with something, and she goes unconscious. And then we see some more scenes, and then we cut back to him. And the way this scene is shot is... It's focused right on him. It's a close-up of his face, and he's talking to her. And we know already that she's been attacked. And the camera is slowly zooming out on him while he is monologuing to her. And I was thinking, holy shit, what's going to be the reveal here? So many things went through my head.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god, that's got... Okay, that's a little eerie that he's having a monologue with her corpse. That's very interesting. And then the zoom out is so slow, my mind kept working. I was like, oh man, what if he's like just talking to her fucking severed head or something?
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, that'd be fucked up.
Yeah, of course.
And we finally get the full zoom out. She's alive and well. She's just tied to a chair.
She's beaten up a little bit.
Yeah.
She hit with a crescent wrench. So
he had to take her down so he could tie her up.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was anticlimactic.
Yeah. They could have definitely done a lot more with that.
You made me go as far as to say, oh my god, what if he's talking to a severed head? You make me feel crazy. Because... You got my mind to that point because I had so much time to think about it during this zoom out. Like, oh my god, what's this crazy ass reveal gonna be? But no, she was fine. She was just tied to a chair and a little busted up. The end. You know, something did finally happen off camera.
Yeah.
So, that was just like an extra fuck you, I guess. Oh my god. Okay, so... Yeah, I think that's all the points I really wanted to make about the specifics. So, in all, yeah, it's just that kind of movie. And, you know, I suppose it's good for a laugh and everything, but, you know, this, I don't know, it's not, I don't know that I can jump on board. There wasn't, like, enough of the camp value.
No.
It was, you know, I've said before that I'm not quick to jump on the so bad it's a good trend that's, you know, a really big thing now lately. It has been for a long time, I know, but I mean, lately people are really trying to make, like, everything like that. See my Sharknado reviews if you want to see a whole thing about that, but this just, you know, it's just a bad movie is all it is.
The ending to me got me really bad.
It doesn't, you know... Okay, yeah, there's like at the end, you know, it starts like when I told you before it even started. Rob Cohen's the director of this movie. I'll bet the finale of this movie is hysterical,
and it was.
There is one really graphic scene involving an eye gouge. I won't say which character it happens to, but that was interesting. That was pretty, you know, up close and personal. That was like Elle Driver style eye gouge.
Yeah.
So
I felt like it should be in a much better movie.
But you know. It's just a fucking bad movie. Lopez, is a fit for the part. You know, she's still really, really good looking. Really, really good looking. And given the movie that she's in, surprisingly, she's not that bad in it. You know, like she actually, the performance isn't that bad, really.
She's trying with what she has.
You know, this fucking movie is just, that's just, yeah, it's exactly what you expect it to be. But I don't know. It wasn't as much of a fun value for me as it was for, I think, a lot of the people that go into it.
It's got the nudity you're looking for in this kind of movie. It's got the language you're looking for. It's got some violence. So it's got a little bit of something for
derogatory terms towards women.
Yeah.
Everyone you can think of. So, yeah, that's pretty much what we got. Though I wouldn't jump immediately to calling it a sexist thing or anything, because it was written by a woman, but... still, yeah, it's, you know what you're in for when you do that. In more ways than one. Like, if you're going in for something, you know, campy or whatever, it's probably what you think it is, if not to that extent. And if you're going in, if sadly, if you go into this, you know, looking for something of quality...
I'm sorry.
Wade
Barrett needs to talk to you.
You'll get exactly what you're looking for, and I don't mean the quality.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of the genre... absolutely nothing will be new to you at all. Or if you have even remote of a brain in your skull, this shouldn't be anything new to you either.
No.
Even if you've never seen a movie before in your life, and you can see all this shit, so... Yeah, that's what that is. Our second movie is Johnny Depp's next outing. Weren't we all so excited to see just how much lower he'll go?
He's become a box office failure now.
But he does have Black Mass coming. That could be something.
Let's hope so.
But in the meantime, we have Mortdecai. Mortdecai is this Pink Panther looking
Yeah, that's exactly what it reminded me of.
Where Johnny Depp is this suave criminal who is brought forth by a cop who is Ewan McGregor.
Yes.
To basically track down a stolen painting. And hilarity ensues. He's got his sexy wife, who is Gwyneth Paltrow, and he has his Kato, who is Paul Bettany. And we have like a femme fatale type who is Olivia Munn, and we have our target, more or less, who is Jeff Goldblum. Speaking of Jeff Goldblum and speaking of stolen paintings.
Yes.
It's worth noting real quick that Johnny Depp was the original choice for Monsieur Gustave in The Grand Budapest Hotel before Ralph Fiennes was cast. And a lot of people have been wondering what that would have been like. I think Johnny Depp's performance as Mortdecai is probably what his performance in The Grand Budapest Hotel would have been like.
I can agree with that.
Which makes it safe to say, thank you, God, for Ralph Fiennes.
Yes.
Now, okay, look, before we go into this any further, let me just talk about this for a minute. I get Johnny Depp, you know, like, I know he's still got it.
Yeah.
Somewhere within him, he's still got it. But for some reason, he is practically refusing to acknowledge that. So... I didn't go into this saying, oh, Johnny Depp's in this, it's gonna blow. You know, so, okay. There's this character of Mortdecai is, you know, I haven't said this about a Depp character in a long time. Because, you know, Jack Sparrow is just long played out. Jack Sparrow was played out, like, as soon as the Curse of the Black Pearl ended. And, you know, Transcendence he just recently did. You know, he played a fucking computer. He didn't really get to do anything.
It's true.
The Lone Ranger, he got to put on the makeup and do that shit. Into the Woods, he got to put on the makeup and do the shit.
Tusk?
Tusk got to put on the makeup, but was funny.
Yeah, very funny.
Here, though, in a starring role, I have to say that Mortdecai will probably want to be one of the more grating characters we've had in movies for this year. Like, as we get further into the year, we'll be thinking about another movie will come along with a really annoying character, and we'll be saying, oh my god, is he more annoying than Mordecai? I don't know. Because here's the thing. A lot of this movie, before we get to the plot, before Ewan McGregor is introduced, a large portion of this movie is devoted to Mordecai's mustache.
Yeah.
There are about 29 extended conversations about his mustache at the beginning of this movie. For the love of God, I swear to God, honest to God, I was actually convinced at one point that this entire movie was going to be an hour and 45 minutes of him talking about his mustache. And there was going to be nothing else to this movie.
the promo material shirt is just a mustache. The
beginning convinced me of that.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the advertisements for the Lorax.
Oh God, yeah.
But no, eventually the movie finally got into the stolen painting bullshit. Now, here's the thing. The director of this movie is David Koch, who, did Secret Window. That's how they know each other.
Nice.
And yeah, I thought, of course, Mordecai spelled Mort, and his name was Mort in Secret Window, yeah. So I was like, okay, yeah. And David Koch's last movie, before this, was Premium Rush.
Yes.
That movie is fucking awesome.
Yeah, it is.
So, this movie totally had the right ingredients.
Oh, completely.
You had the director and star reuniting after Secret Window, which is awesome in itself. And he's hot off Premium Rush, which I just talked about. So, some things should not have gone as wrong with this as they should have. Now, as far as it being funny, because it's played up as being, this big, broad, slapstick comedy.
Yeah.
With action in it for some reason, but we'll get to that. The only person that really has laughs here is Paul Bettany.
He's great in this.
Who's basically, he can sustain anything up to and including bullets. Apparently he's a sex addict.
He's Handsome Rob.
Yeah, that's a good.
He's Handsome Rob. Without a doubt.
Only Handsome Rob has a lot more lines.
Yes.
But here's the problem about the fact that this movie's a comedy. Remember when I was talking about the fact a few seconds ago that all they talk about is his goddamn mustache?
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those movies that gets really annoying because here's the thing. I've talked about this in reviewing a few comedies, but this is one of those movies where the writing is really, really proud of itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in the writing process, they thought they had something really clever going on here. There's a whole bunch of Guy Ritchie reject lines. There's the stuff like, where they just used this happened with Paul Bettany a lot, but he made it work. But the whole movie's like this. This is one of those movies where, because they're so proud of the stuff they're coming up with, this is one of those movies where, even though it's a comedy that's about an hour and 45 minutes, the comedy is basically 4 jokes told over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And that's it.
Yeah.
It's like the same 4 goddamn jokes that just go back to repeatedly. And that's all they've got. That got really, really annoying.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is under one of those, like, those obvious payoff jokes. Like when, they're really, really building something up, and you kind of know that that's where the joke is going.
Mm.
And it doesn't, switch things up and go in a separate direction after they've built up something obvious. They just go right in that obvious direction, and the movie keeps on going. There's a lot of that. Now, and another really bad problem here is the character of Mordecai himself. Not only is he grating, because he won't shut up about that goddamn mustache, but the writers seemed really confused about the kind of character that he is. Because the character of Mordecai is 2 totally different people when the script requires him to be. Because here's the thing. Through most of the movie, he is this oblivious, blithering idiot. Who pretty much is completely, ignorant to his surroundings.
Yeah.
Just a complete and total moron. And there are characters who even call him out on this. And they mention it and they talk about it. His character is a complete idiot.
It's Mr. Bean.
Yeah, but then we have the other side of his character. And it's not like one is playing up the other.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's just whenever he needs to be an idiot in the movie, he's an idiot. But then there are those moments, you know, where he's the suave criminal that's really clever and can get away with stuff. He's that too.
He's Johnny English and James Bond in one.
On top of that, I don't get... Thomas Crown would be a better example.
That's a good idea.
And that was not sitting well with me because that makes no goddamn sense as a character.
It's true.
Is he an idiot or is he one of the smartest criminals alive? You have to make a decision here. But they don't. They don't fucking care. They're like, we throw in enough snappy dialogue, everybody will think we're smart. You know, and they do try that every now and then. There's one line that's funny, like, I liked his delivery of, I've got a fucking manservant.
Yeah.
And then there's the line that, there's the moment where Mordecai's on the phone and Paul Bettany's having sex in the background. And Gwyneth can hear him. And her line is, do I hear someone achieving climax in your immediate vicinity? That seemed like a line that was rejected from Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
It really does.
You know, like, what's the fucking line I hate so much in Lock, Stock? When they, you know the phrase, Bob's your uncle.
Yeah.
In Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, they say, Robert's your mother's brother. It's like, shut the fuck up, Guy Ritchie. Lines that Guy Ritchie would reject are in this.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true.
By the way, that totally makes it sound like I hate Lock, Stock, but go back and watch that video if you need to. It's just that line, really, but, you know, it has that problem. The lines that I don't like in Guy Ritchie movies that show up in Mordecai, basically. And yeah, now, and the issue here is that the whole movie rests on the shoulders of this character. He's the title character, the poster's his goddamn face. They rely on the fact that Johnny Depp is the star of it. It's just Johnny Depp doing his thing. You know, and I heard a lot of talk, too, going into this. I guess when the first trailer came out, a lot of people said, okay, this is Johnny Depp doing his thing, but maybe in a bit of a different way. But not really, though. No. He just doesn't have the makeup. But, you know, it's just him, you know, doing the faces and the big eyes. You know, the one movie Tim Burton didn't put him in, Big Eyes.
Yes.
So yes, I wasn't a fan of this. And, you know, with the whole slapstick comedy thing, when those action scenes finally happened, they felt really out of place.
Yeah,
those definitely were weird. They were weirdly placed, too. So, and characters, you know, are introduced really late. Like, the Olivia Munn character comes in like an hour in or something. And just... No, I don't know what happened here. I don't know why this movie exists. I don't know what they were thinking. I mean, they're trying so hard to be all stylized.
Yeah.
Like, every time they go to a location and does the thing where, like, you know, it's the map and the big letters and stuff like that. They really want it to be stylized and, you know, clever in their visual style, but no. I can't really think of anything that went into this movie they tried that worked.
Setting up the stuff with Gwyneth and Ewan, too.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor's character's in love with Gwyneth Paltrow's character. For some reason, that goes fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
It was there for filler, I guess. But while we're on the subject of Gwyneth Paltrow, even though the writing did not give her, like, anything to work with, Gwyneth Paltrow is still very, very good looking. Her and Jennifer Lopez really proved that this week.
That's very true.
So, those two still have it going on, so, yes. I was not a fan of Mordecai.
Yeah.
That's pretty much as far as I can take that. I'm so not a fan of it, there's really not much to talk about. The movie's just that shit happening. Depp doing his thing, and the same jokes over and over again. That's all this fucking movie is.
And there's nothing to it at all.
Oh my god. Okay. So, that's the end of that. Our third movie is an odd case.
To say the least.
Our third movie is an animated movie called Strange Magic that is so low profile, you were convinced we weren't even getting it.
Yeah.
So, yes. It comes to us from Lucasfilm. George Lucas decided to think this up. You know that random name they attach to animated movies when, you know, famous people say, hey, I've got an idea for an animated movie. Let's do that and make $12 off of it.
Yes.
See Elton John with Romeo and Juliet. You know, I thought that movie was charming.
I like Romeo and Juliet a lot, actually.
It was nice.
Yeah.
This is weird, though.
Very much so.
So it begins. It's one of those movies, once again, you know immediately from the very start, it's one of those movies made to babysit your children. Which doesn't work, apparently, but we'll get to that.
Thank you, because I was about ready to say something.
It begins, and there's a narrator, and there's like a little map here that's rolled up. And the narrator starts to say, you know, like, once upon a time, there was a world. And then the map unfolds itself, and we see, you know, the forest and the fairyland and all that. That's how it starts. It's one of those movies. You know exactly where it's going now, don't you? I just had to say that. And you know the rest of this movie already. But the story here is we have the Fairy Kingdom, and we have the Dark Forest. We saw this movie on Thursday. I'm now realizing I already remember too much about Strange Magic.
Yeah.
And now, the thing is we have our fairy lead character, who is Evan Rachel Wood. And she is going to, you know, she's in love with a fairy prince, and they're going to be married. And there's something going on in the Dark Forest where there is a flower that can make a love potion. And these two plots will collide, don't worry. Yeah. However, I just need to stop and talk about the Fairy Kingdom for a second, the story that's going on here. We have, the prince here is Roland. And Roland is that guy who's like, you know, he loves fixing his hair. There's so many goddamn jokes about him and his hair. It's like fucking Mordecai and his goddamn mustache.
Yeah.
I don't know what the obsession with hair was this week, but whatever. But he's valiant. He rides a squirrel. You know, all that. And we open, and they are singing simultaneously about their love for each other. Now, let me explain this. This is kind of what they're trying to do to make this movie unique. The movie is a musical, but the issue is that it's a lot of pre-existing songs that they take, and they build a story around them. I guess Evan Rachel Wood loves being in movies like this.
Yes.
So, she is singing, Can't Help Falling in Love. The Elvis song.
Yes.
And he is singing Crazy in Love.
Yeah.
And they're doing and the songs are going simultaneously.
That is a nightmare you do not want to hear.
That was not the most bothersome thing about this scene.
I know what you're talking about. Go ahead.
Throughout the whole movie, Roland, the guy doing the voice of Roland is doing an Elvis impression.
Yep.
Why in the fuck is he not the one singing the other song?
Yep. That's a good point. I can't tell you why, because I don't know.
Okay. That bothered me for, like, the whole movie, by the way. And it's the opening scene.
I buy that.
Because he never breaks the Elvis voice. He sounds like that through the whole movie. And he's the one fucking singing Crazy in Love and not the other song. But fine. Fine. Then there is a separate story where we have her sister who is, you know, oblivious to the world around her because she's, you know, like, you know, they personify the dumb blonde cliche, basically, with this character. But there is a little elf that's in love with her, but he, you know, he likes to, you know, be around her, but he can't confess his love to her because he's too shy and he's afraid he's going to get rejected, but don't worry because it'll work out eventually, but fuck off for now. And then our other character is the villain, I guess, who's basically doing Christoph Waltz in Epic.
Yep.
We have, like, the king of the Dark Forest, who is Alan Cumming. Who is great in this because he falls in love with a woman. It's great acting on Alan Cumming's part. No, he would not mind that joke.
I know, but that's...
So, anyway, he's got a rockin' singing voice.
Yeah, he does.
There's a real compliment for Alan Cumming. His singing voice is awesome. And I believe, apparently Evan Rachel Wood did her own singing too, which is not a surprise because of the last movie she did with the pre-existing songs that they made a story out of. Yeah. So, now, this movie is quite messy,
yeah,
to say the least. For starters, we have, this movie, okay, I gotta be honest with you. Right away, this movie confused me.
confused you.
Yeah. And my questions weren't answered. But I will do my best to kind of say what happened here. So we have, what was her name? Marianne?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Marianne and Roland are going to be married. They're the fairies who are, singing to each other. She's singing, Can't Help Falling in Love, and he's singing Crazy in Love, and they're going to come together, and everything's going to be great. It's probably the songs are going to end, they're going to kiss, and they're going to go to the wedding, everything's going to be great. But then this random female character we've never seen before runs up and kisses Roland. And Marianne catches this and calls the wedding off and goes and becomes sad. And then Roland's kind of like a on-again, off-again villain, whatever thing.
Yeah.
My question was he singing Crazy in Love about Marianne and then this girl ran up and kissed him? Or was he singing it about the other girl? Were they a thing already? What the fuck?
I'm thinking, he's the seemingly character doesn't really know what love is.
The movie never answers this question.
No.
Because I don't think we ever see that character again.
Nope. We're supposed to forget that we saw it.
Great start to this movie, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, now here's the thing, though. Is you kept comparing it to Legends of Oz.
Yes.
That animated movie I reviewed last year, if you remember correctly. That's like, because you probably forgot about it otherwise. Or didn't know of its existence otherwise. So, the problem here is, I can't believe I remember Legends of Oz enough to remember this is what I hated about it, but I gave Legends of Oz a really hard time because I thought that it was pointless that movie was a musical, because it had like 4 songs in it. Mm-hmm. That they really, really stretched out. And they were pointless songs. They had nothing to do with anything.
True.
So, I gotta kind of give this movie the opposite criticism. Because this movie has a song every 2 goddamn seconds.
Yep.
And it's all the pre-existing songs. The issue here is, now, granted, I am not the biggest fan of Across the Universe.
Yep.
At all. Sadly. But, at least, when they used the pre-existing songs in that, every song had its place in the story. And, of course, you can say Moulin Rouge as well.
That would be a lot easier for you to deal with. Moulin Rouge would work a lot better in this situation.
Well, Evan Rachel Wood being here.
Okay, that's why okay, it makes sense.
And the songs do not really have anything to do with their surroundings. But they're present every 2 seconds.
Everyone's got that love potion is basically what it is.
So, yes. And then the plot comes in about the love potion. Like, she's going to, we'll just give him the love potion and then everything will be back to normal. Well, yeah. That's what the plot is. But now, going back to the song thing, there's one here. I wasn't sure, I'm not sure what this song was. Like, some of the songs it took me a while to recognize, because it's not the songs, it's the cast singing them.
Yeah.
Like when I reviewed this online a little bit ago, and somebody's response to it was, so is the Electric Light Orchestra song actually in it? Or is the movie just called that? And I said, well, the cast sings it, if that counts.
Yeah.
So yes, it's either incredibly blatant or it has no purpose whatsoever. Mm. The thing that kept bothering me was the song Alan Cumming kept singing.
Okay.
Where the lyrics are basically, I'm evil. He just keeps saying, I'm evil over and over again. Is that a real song? And what the fuck is it?
I'm gonna guess that would be the villain song, then.
Because that's what I was thinking about, yeah, okay, he's the villain, but
it's trouble.
You have him singing a song where he's just saying, I'm evil, over and over again. For fuck's sake! Was there not at least a better song to put with this? But I know. It's for children that are 2. But let's go ahead and talk about that now. If you're thinking, hey, I think I'll take my children to this, maybe shut them up for an hour and a half, it'll be great. It'll be nice. It'll be easy. There were a few people in there with us, more than I was expecting, for a movie like Strange Magic that I think nobody really knows about.
At 7:30 at night, too.
It was these 2 girls and this kid. And this kid was not enjoying himself.
No, he wasn't.
This kid kept wanting to leave. No, it wasn't like, like, you have those kids, you know, where they, you know, run up and down the aisles because, you know, they get antsy, they get, you know, bored. So they just start to run around. No, this kid was running to the door. He wanted to leave.
He wanted to go. He ran 4 times to the door, and every once he got dragged right back.
And eventually they just had to leave.
Yeah.
The kid did not want to watch this movie.
I don't blame
him. And he wasn't scared
No.
or anything. There's nothing that scary about it. Maybe Alan Cumming, like, they get a couple of close-ups of him, maybe. But he just looks like one of the fucking trees in Lord of the Rings. Or one of Nick Nolte's incarnations in Hulk, Ang Lee's Hulk.
Okay.
So, yeah, I just made a reference to Ang Lee's Hulk that wasn't derogatory, but you've never heard that before.
Cumming was singing an Elvis song. It's called Trouble.
Okay. But, anyway, regardless, across the universe with Elvis songs. That's nice.
Yeah, no lie. Deep Purple, if it makes you feel any better. That's the other song he was singing.
The issue here,
song.
Another issue here is that, you know, naturally, because of the kind of movie it is, it's trying to be funny.
Yeah.
When it's not.
No.
Alan Cumming gets a couple of laughs, but apart from that, you know, there's just nothing here. It's really not engaging at all. Like, I was actually spacing out throughout this movie. Like, I had to keep reminding myself, we're in the theater, okay? I am face to face with a movie theater screen, and I had to keep reminding myself that I'm watching a movie and I should probably pay attention because I need to do this review.
It would have been a lot better if we would have been able to talk through it.
But I just couldn't, you know... And it doesn't even matter if you're paying attention anyway, because nothing stays put.
No.
When I was talking about Roland... Because this is one of those movies where the relationships between characters is changing constantly. Because, you know, good characters will turn bad, and then bad characters will turn good, and then those characters that turned good, that turned bad, will turn good again, and it's just an ongoing thing forever. And there's nothing to rely on character-wise here. And I know, you know, it's one of those movies where you go in and it's like, it's a movie's about, you know, it's a movie about the Fairy Kingdom and the Dark Forest. Maybe I'm thinking too much about the character development. But the issue here is, some thought went into this movie because, surprisingly, given being such a low-profile movie, the animation is impressive.
Mm-hmm.
They clearly put effort into that.
It's Lucasfilm, what do you expect?
But the issue here is, it's like their creative process stopped dead at the animation process. Like, they're like, hey, this stuff looks great. Whatever we do with it, fuck it. As long as it looks great, we're done here. Goodbye.
And the soundtrack will make money.
I'm packing up my shit. I am turning the lights out. I am leaving and closing the door and locking it. We are done here. And I found that to be a bit lazy. So...
Can we talk about the weird placement of some of the songs? The People Are Strange, like, instrumental whenever the mushrooms showed up.
I thought for a while that they were just going to stick to instrumentals, because they did a People Are Strange instrumental. For a long time, they were doing Crazy Little Thing Called Love as an instrumental.
Yep.
And then finally, they started singing it. And I was like, well, that's too little, too late. And
the Soldiers doing Bad Romance from Lady Gaga.
Oh, my God.
As a Gregorian chant.
Yeah, so I can understand their thought process if they were making this simply as a babysitter. It's like, hey, popular music, hey, good animation, this will shut your kids up for a little bit. But, you know, and then it just gets more and more bizarre as it goes.
Yes.
It tries to turn into a Beauty and the Beast thing.
Yeah.
Which it just came out of nowhere. I still don't know how that even happened. And then there's the ending, when the ending happens, like everything goes into a kaleidoscope image.
Yeah.
What the fuck was that?
You need to be on drugs. Watching this movie is basically what it says.
Yeah, this is just a bizarre experience. But here's the issue. It's gonna be one of those movies that people watch and they say, you know, like, oh, it's so bad, you just have to see it. This is so, you know, really, really bad, man, but it's so amazingly bad. No, it's not like that. It's just an unimpressive animated movie. And, you know, given, you know, the laziness in story and just the whole bizarre nature of it at all, everything you're experiencing, it's relatively harmless. Like, I don't just, you know, I don't, like, despise it or anything. It's just, I just don't know what the fuck they were thinking.
Can we talk about some of the voice acting here? Some of the really strange choice for casting in some of
this. This was our second dose of Kristen Chenoweth this week because she was the Sugar Plum Fairy.
Mm-hmm.
We had Albert Brooks' brother.
Super Dave Osborne is in this movie.
Bob Einstein is in this movie.
Yes.
Dude.
And if you know Super Dave's voice, it's there. It's definitely there.
And you know he cameoed in a couple of his brother's movies.
Yes.
That's how I know him, obviously. And he was the guy on Roseanne when they were going to be on the news, and he came over and no, he was the one. He was the one that had the rights to make their movie.
I'd buy that. There's a weird casting here.
Did I forget somebody? Oh,
There's a lot of names on you.
I heard Alfred Molina's voice. I thought that was him, but then I just missed it. Alfred Molina's the Fairy King.
Peter Stormare.
Maya Rudolph is in it. I did recognize Peter Stormare as well.
And of course Tony Cox.
Yeah. Tony Cox as an elf.
Yeah.
Inspired.
Okay.
Even when he's in the voice booth, you typecast him. Nice.
Good job, movie. Here's the thing, though. If you're
Terry
Cox.
Tony Cox needs to call up Terry Zwigoff again.
Yeah.
And get better roles.
Well, here's the thing about this movie, and I noticed it from the get-go. I was imagining a lot of comparisons to just one of those on-stage productions you would get at a theme park. Not necessarily Disney quality, but really, really trying to be. And that's exactly what this reminds me of. Like, whenever they're doing the back and forth, which end up going into What Doesn't Kill You Makes You Stronger by Kelly Clarkson, which is all out there. When they're doing the singing back and forth through each other, it really reminds me of something I'd see on stage. And I'm not saying that necessarily in a good way. I'm saying it just reminds me of something I'd see on stage.
Or to spend the money to do it in animated form.
Yeah, really. It's just like something that it's very, like, disjointed. Really, I mean, that's the best way to put it.
I don't have any notes for our next movie, so I'm just going to have to wing it. Our fourth movie is Cake, which is the movie that Jennifer Aniston got a Golden Globe and SAG nomination for. And that will forever be the only thing this movie is known for.
Yeah.
That moment where Jennifer Aniston came that close, but not really. I'm pretty sure Amy Adams was sixth.
Exactly. And she told, and this is basically her saying, okay, world, this is something I can do that's different, that's going to make me apart from everyone else.
And I guess she sent voters, like, actual cakes.
Oh, really?
You know.
Work the public to believe she actually can get into a very tight Oscar race at the very last possible second.
So,
nope.
You probably have no idea what the actual movie is about. You probably have heard the title and you've seen her on all the magazines like, oh, Jen's going to awards glory. But you probably have no idea what the movie is, I'm sure. So, I will tell you now.
Yeah, because we actually know what this movie is.
The thing is she is in a support. I'm not sure what's spoiler here and what isn't, but it's kind of...
It gives it away right away, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's another rabbit hole type movie.
Yeah.
Even though Rabbit Hole is like really good, but you know that might be my Kidman bias.
And it's a great movie.
So the thing is she is in this support group with all these people. Misty Upham, who died recently under those mysterious circumstances, you probably read in the news. She's in this. And the the head of the group is Felicity Huffman.
Yeah.
And yes, you will have your derogatory William H. Macy cameo because Felicity Huffman's in the movie later on.
Walking right off the set of Shameless and everything.
I said derogatory when I meant obligatory. I'm sorry. Hopefully nobody noticed. Anyway, somebody that was in this support group was Anna Kendrick.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Shut up. Hey, quiet you.
So
you're allowed to have your biases, so can I.
So, we are immediately introduced to a picture of Anna Kendrick.
I thought that was all that was going to be at one point.
Because Anna Kendrick's character has committed suicide.
Yep.
So she jumped off a bridge. I don't know why I did this, but... So anyway, and this is basically... she's all torn up because she was in a car accident that killed her son. And it was, I guess, a drunk driver. It involved another driver who was responsible. I don't know if it said he was drunk, but that's what you probably assume.
Yeah.
So she can barely walk, and she has to like lay down in cars because her body's so fucked up. This is like a year later too. She's gone through all the physical therapy and stuff like that. And you know, she's bitter at life. She's broken. She's, you know, apart from her husband. I don't know if they're like divorced or whatever, but
it's really not.
They're apart. So the only person she has is her housekeeper, the woman from Babel. It's Adrian or Adriana. Is there an A on the end? Braza.
Adriana
Braza. Okay. Oscar-nominated actress for Babel. I had to remember her name. I feel like shithead. But continuing on. Now, we get to the point where she becomes fascinated with Anna Kendrick when she starts having hallucinations of her. So she goes and she sees Anna Kendrick's husband, who is Sam Worthington, and their child. And she develops a bond with them. And then Oscar baiting galore for the next hour or so begins.
Yeah.
Now, I don't have anything against Jennifer Aniston. I think she's great and everything. But, this is one of those movies that felt so blatantly like...
Here I am.
Awards consideration is the only reason this movie exists. Because here's the thing. Everybody was talking about her big transformation. The only thing is she's not wearing makeup. Like, that's the big thing. She didn't wear makeup in the movie.
Yeah.
That's it. She's wearing a little makeup to do, like, scars from, like, her accident. But, you know, as far as, like, makeup to, like, you know...
Project her beauty?
Yeah. And then there's, which Jennifer Aniston does not need help with anyway.
No.
And then there's the other thing where, she's, you know, doing the... She's America's sweetheart, but she's doing the foul-mouthed, bitter, angry character. So she's like, they're really going, oh my god, what a transformation.
Wow, we should have got Sandra Bullock to play this role.
If you want, in that particular case, then Horrible Bosses is a transformative role for her. You know, and I just don't, but, you know, without this surrounding it, as far as the movie itself, it's fine.
It's alright.
The movie's fine. It's just, you can't get around the fact that this movie only exists for one reason, and it's not the reason that movies should exist.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because this just feels like it was written specifically for that.
I'm sure it was.
But, you know, because I don't know, the writer-director, I don't know who that guy is. I don't know if he's done anything before. But this, you know, it went to TIFF, and people built it up as her big thing, and then... You know, SAG happened, then Globe happened, and then the media exploded saying it was going to happen because, you know, when she's in the media, it draws attention, and they were trying to build it up into something that it clearly wasn't.
We tried to tell you guys on the videos.
Yeah, I don't know if the same people who watched this review would watch the awards videos, but yeah, I'm going through this again for the sake of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sam Worthington does not even try to bother hiding his Australian accent. I don't know how much that kind of thing bothers you. But
close.
Maybe his character was supposed to be Australian. I don't know. Did they mention that? Maybe they did mention that. No?
She could have met him, like, on, like, a trip or something.
I know. It's been a while since I watched this. But,
yeah, same here. I watched this when you did.
But, yeah, the performances are fine, you know. Braz's performance is really good. And, yeah, Aniston is good, but I just can't get past the fact that this is the only reason this movie exists. And it feels like the movie's fine. It really is.
It's an okay movie.
It's just, you know, every movie like this, where you have the broken woman who's trying to, you know, find her way back to her feet, literally. No, you've seen this before. You've seen this entire movie before. There's nothing new it provides whatsoever. It is absolute 100% tailor-made for awards consideration. That's it. But, despite that, it's fine.
Are you going to talk about Kendrick at all, or are you just going to completely shut her out?
She's had like 3 scenes.
Yeah, but she's a very important part of the movie.
She plays a hallucination.
Yeah.
That's like, you know, praising Liam Neeson for The Dark Knight Rises.
You can. Some people have.
Anna Kendrick is in this movie, and he wants you to know that.
Yes.
The end. Okay. Our last movie was also I won't say failed awards contender because, you know, she did a couple of things, but A Most Violent Year. J.C. Chandor's new movie. Let's talk about him real fast before we go into the movie.
He's a really good director.
Yeah. What I love about him is he's very exciting. Because look at the 3 movies he has made.
Mm-hmm.
You have Margin Call, you have All Is Lost, and then you have his crime movie, A Most Violent Year.
Yeah.
These 3 movies are totally different things. And I'm curious to see just how much he, goes forward with that, changing everything up every movie thing. Because you have Margin Call, which got him an Oscar nomination.
A very deserved one.
Yeah. You have All Is Lost, which is a one-man survival movie, which was great, by the way.
And very much underutilized as an awards contender.
Yeah, that was kind of seen coming, though. Which you can see from last year's awards videos.
Exactly.
And then you have this kind of... The interesting thing about it is you could say that Oscar Isaac's character is basically like Michael Corleone.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is that even though it builds it up as like he's like a gangster type criminal, like the way he runs things and just the kind of controlling, commanding presence that he has. But there's actually a moment in this movie where he specifically says to Albert Brooks, let's not go into gangster territory. Let's not do that.
He doesn't want to get his hands dirty is basically what it is.
Because he's like everything the gangster character is while not being that character, which is really unique and interesting. And, by the way, Oscar Isaac, who is really blowing up right now for good reason, is amazing in this movie. And
yes.
Though I've been getting a little bothered by some things I've been hearing. Because a lot of people are trying to... I've read a lot of reviews saying that this is his breakout role. Which is really confusing to me, because it's like people totally forgot Inside Llewyn Davis was last year, which I would consider by far his breakout role.
Yeah, without a doubt.
But either movie, fine, whatever. It's all good, so it doesn't matter. And of course, his partner in crime is his wife, who is Jessica Chastain in a very meaty, would-be Oscar role.
Should be Oscar role.
I know, but, and, she has that really, and it's really interesting to watch her play this character when you know her real-life persona, because I guess she's known for being, really cheery and stuff off camera. So to see her play, this, vicious character, I love the moment between her and David Oyelowo, where they're having the birthday party, and then she comes out to confront him afterwards, after they've cleared everything out. And she's just kind of antagonizing him and saying, he better, know his place and watch what he's doing. And she drops her cigarette in his drink before she leaves.
Oscar Isaac is hiding everything, unbeknownst to them.
Yeah, because David Oyelowo is the DA?
Yeah.
That's trying to bring them down. And then we have Albert Brooks, who is I don't know if it's the Oscar Isaac influence or what, but the kind of movie it was, I was expecting, maybe another Bernie Rose role, and they turned down a little bit.
That'd have been nice.
But no, he is the veteran, person. He's got his Bob Odenkirk haircut.
Yeah.
And he's also kind of like a partner in crime here. And... Yes, there's a really great elegance to this movie. It's very distinguished in its appearance and how it's handled. There is you can have, it's really, really toned down. For most of the movie, it almost feels like nothing's happening. But at the same time, it's got a really steady pace.
Yeah.
That might put you off, me saying that it feels like nothing doesn't really happen, but you just have to watch it to know what I mean by that. It doesn't... Yeah, don't get the wrong
taken
idea.
Out of the story.
Don't get the wrong idea when I say that. But then, there are scenes that kind of, obstruct this a little bit, like the truck chase, which felt like something right out of the French Connection or something.
Yeah.
And then, you have those jarring scenes, to throw a little more development at Chastain's character, that really jarring scene where he hits a deer with his car. And then it's laying on the side of the road, and she's like, you gotta put it out of its misery. And he's like, fine, I'll get the tire iron. And he goes and gets the tire iron, and he's walking towards it, and he's trying to build up the courage to do it. And she just appears next to him with a gun and shoots it dead.
That's kind of jarring to see.
And then just kind of gives him that look. She doesn't say this, obviously, because it's not that kind of movie, but she basically just looks at him and says, pussy.
Basically, yeah.
And then they just go home. And it's very meticulously made, and I love how, when I was talking about the fact that it kind of feels like nothing happened, it's basically like, it reminded me of There'll Be Blood in a way with the title.
Mm.
Because, you know, people went and saw a movie called There'll Be Blood, and they got Paul Dano laying in a little puddle of blood in the very last frame of the movie. And you go into a movie called A Most Violent Year, and I counted 1 death in this movie. 2 if you count the deer.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, but it's really clever that way, because it kind of does it intentionally. Because, you know, yes, it's a hard movie to describe, because you just kind of have to see it for what it is. Because if I try to explain it, it's going to be misleading. So, yes, it's a very impressive movie, and J.C. Chandor's a really impressive director, and it's going to be really fun to see what he does next.
I love Chastain at the end, the scene at the very end.
Oscar scene.
Her Oscar will be her Oscar scene.
Would have been, yes.
Yeah. His next movie is actually a movie called Deepwater Horizon. It's coming out next year, and it is Mark Wahlberg attached to it.
Nice. The worst oil spill in U.S. history. It sounds like it's in margin call territory.
Yeah,
but,
kind of.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Maybe a little bit of this, too. Because this has, you know, that kind of... Yeah. Yes. Yeah. This is a movie you just kind of have to see. It's kind of a hard thing to explain.
Yeah.
But I can recommend it, is what I'm telling you.
Definitely. Same here.
Yes. We're done here.
All right, let's star mount these movies and then take it home. So,
all right.
Boy Next Door.
1. Which, by the way,
You're being nice.
It is 1 through 4. I don't go below 1. 1 is as low as it goes.
We can't go a half a star.
Yeah, Ebert did that. Ebert went as far as no stars, but it's easy to stick to 1 through 4.
Is this bad enough to be forgotten or bad enough to be worst of the year territory?
We'll have to see.
Yeah, right now if the year ended, it's up there. Mordecai.
1.5.
By the way, Mordecai, you ain't got nothing on my friend Tim's mustache, so there you go. Strange Magic.
See, I was gonna say 1.5, but then I gave Mordecai 1.5. I don't quite feel right saying Strange Magic and Mordecai are the same level of quality.
No.
So, I mean, I know that kind of, you know, when you have a system that is so confined, it's kind of hard to gauge that. Being very, very generous, mind you, just being extremely generous, I'm going to give it 2.
Wow, let me get one of the high. It's one of the highest ratings on this video. Cake.
2.5. It's, yeah.
And I have a feeling I know where this is headed. A Most Violent Year.
3.
Of course. I knew that was coming. So 2014 is now done. The only thing left for 2014 now is the award season. And once it's done, we're going to 2015, and God help us if it doesn't get any better.
Because I saw Citizen 4, Virunga, and Finding Vivian Maier, but I'll probably just quickly...
That's a beat-ups video.
No, when we're doing the Oscar video.
Okay, right on.
I'll just say, oh, by the way, these are worthy of being here. I'll say that now. All 3 of them are good.
All right,
so,
right on.
Finding Vivian Maier is the best one, though.
Yeah, you did say that. Because you did put it on your list. It's your honorable mention.
No, that was Elaine Stritch.
Oh.
But, yeah.
A documentary on is your honorable mention. There you go. That's what I was trying to say.
Okay, we're done here.
All right, that being said, as always, tomorrow, brand new verses going to adult film. And tomorrow, if you're inclined, watch the Screen Actors Guild Awards.
I went really long on the verses, sorry.
Yeah, this is one of the longest one we've done in a while, and this is only a versus battle between 2 movies.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind for later this year. I'll just say that right now. And, of course, we have our SAG predictions, which were yesterday, so check those out. I have a new Halloween Horror Nights video for Hollywood. That's on the channel if you want to check that out. Brand new Celebrity Apprentice video coming up at you guys on Monday. Tuesday, of course, NXT and Impact. Wednesday, Vlogger Randomness. Thursday, Sip and Snack. And Friday, of course, AJ's movie reviews, which we will be talking about. Project Almanac, The Loft, Vice, and who knows if there's anything else on there.
Slow week.
Yeah, very slow week. Maybe we'll get something.
We're finally putting January to death, at least.
Finally going to kill January off, and maybe February will be better, because we've got 3 3D movies to kick off February. Seventh Son, Jupiter Ascending, and SpongeBob. It's going to be a fun year.
Alright, let's end this.
Alright, that being said, thank you guys and girls out there for watching. AJ, any parting words?
No, that's it.